If you're looking for professional day trading education and high level trade analysis and dissection, you, my friends, have come to the right place. My name is Pat Mitchell. I've been a professional day trader for the past 11 years, and am here to bring you exactly that high level professional day trading education, all here for free on YouTube and on X. And tonight, we have a great technical analysis dissection that you guys are really going to enjoy. You're going to learn something. Let's take a look. I hope you all had a wonderful day. Man, I'm having a hard time talking right now. Uh, it's been a long fucking day. So let's rock and roll. Okay, guys. So now that we are into the charts, let's go over a couple of trades. So today was a small day, as this was the first day of round 14 of my momentum program. I work with a small focus group of day traders, and we day trade live, and we work on really uber specific trades and like hurdles to get over. Okay. So I'm looking for really specific things on momentum days, which are Tuesdays and Fridays. So you're going to notice now, going ahead for the next 8 to 10 weeks, Tuesdays and Fridays, especially Tuesdays, are going to be small. That's when I trade with small size, and then on Friday I trade with full size. That way they get the best of both worlds. So with all of that aside, for those of you that are just joining us, these levels that you see here on the daily chart, that are these blue charts to the left hand side, as well as the intraday charts, these blue levels are struck at 9 a.m. East, 30 minutes before the market opens. I then design trade plans surrounding these levels, and we stick to that. That's it. That's what we trade. That's why you see the consistency that you do on this channel. You're never going to see a trade that is a chase or is going to come up after. I don't trade like that. I trade professionally. If I don't have a plan for it prior to, I want nothing to do with it. And trust me, there's lots of trades during the day that I could definitely take, but it's not to my plan. I have no desire to do it. That's called discipline and self-control, folks. So this morning, the trade plan was on cues. We started to sell off. It recovered a bit. And then I was looking for a pop coming into pre-market highs to start in on. I wanted to start in on this trade right in that area. Start in there, add here, and accept. It was basically about $1.20 full maximum risk if the trade just kept going and going without it bumping its head into one of these technical levels. Now, obviously, as you can see, it didn't do that. It came right into the initial starter. I had small size on it, entered, paid myself on the way down. The first big pull back into support, as any professional should and would, and then simply just waited for my target down here. Overall, really solid trade, locking in $585 on that, on small size, which is a beautiful trade. So then we were really waiting for something. What we were waiting for now was essentially for SPY, because we're up at highs, to fail. We wanted SPY to fail, wash through this level. We needed it through that. And then upon the retracement, we would start in here, add here. As you can see, we didn't get that. So we're just waiting. We're waiting for a setup. We're going and going. Nothing's really happening. And then the next trade hit. Now, I only locked in $52 on this trade. And that's why I asked the question, did it work or didn't it, in the title of this video. So let's go over this, because it's a really interesting trade, folks. And you know what? We would almost be better served going to the one chart. So why don't you hang tight? Don't get your panties in a knot. 1 sec, because it will be worth it. And that way we can really see a lot better here. So give me 2 seconds. Because somebody did ask me to zoom in a bit. So this should be zoomed in. And if you're watching on your cell phone, you're doing it wrong. You should never be watching any type of educational content on a cell phone, specifically day trading, when you're trying to see the subtleties. You're not going to pick up on shit on that, and you're just half-assing it. I'm not trying to be an asshole. That's just simply the reality of the situation. So if you're watching on your cell phone, you're doing it wrong. Watch it on a TV or your computer. Get a proper screen in front of you, and you'll be able to see this just fine. So now let's go over this. So we had, and I went over this yesterday, the macro technicals and the micro technicals. And the macro trend for today, let me get rid of that magnet, was this. Now, most of the morning, I drew it by hand, just like that. Okay. So we were watching it, and we also had these lows. So we had a really nice trend to go with, and we got right into the apex. And then this is where something really interesting happened. Now, right as we're coming into the apex right here within these 2 or 3 candles, I started looking at something and I said, you know what? This thing's going to break out. When it breaks out, it's going to pull back and it's going to test the apex of the trend, like the trend and the previous close at the same time. So that crosshair sectional of it at 10:17 a.m. So the time at which I called that was 10:04 to 10:07. So 10 minutes prior to this doing exactly what I said it would do. And I even said, now it can come all the way into highs. I don't want that short. Okay. I wasn't expecting it to come into highs, but I did say, even if it does come into highs, it's a valid trade, but I'm going to wait for the long. Now, let me explain why I would do that. When you see this pink trend, okay, and you see it also right at the apex of it. So if you were to take, you see the crosshairs, you see how it's horizontal and vertically, and then it just obviously there's a pinpoint area. Well, there's a pinpoint area there, right there, between 10:15 and 10:17. But I said it would hit it at 10:17 a.m. Well, if you take a look at that candle, that is 10:17 a.m. That's when it tested that. How did I know? See, I've seen a lot of people that are out there. In fact, even a guy like CoffeeZilla. Now, I got nothing against the guy, but he was going after a day trader that Whistling Diesel was working with. And I know nothing about this day trader, right? Most of them are absolute bullshit, and I'm definitely in agreement with him on that. I've had people work with me that turned out to be frauds. Okay, there's a lot of fucking frauds out there. I understand that. But one thing that he said in this video really struck a fucking nerve with me. And that just tells me he doesn't know what he's talking about. Where he said, yeah, this day trader uses technical analysis, which is basically like the voodoo of the trading world, which is bullshit. If it's voodoo and woo-woo and doesn't work, and it's pure like tarot card reading and shit like that, because that's what he was getting at, then how do I know day in and day out, specific times that we will test a level? How do I know that? Now, if it happened once in a blue moon, you could chalk it off to luck or coincidence or whatever word you want to put in there. But when you do it on a daily basis, what is it? Well, it's not luck and it's not coincidence. Technical analysis is as legitimate as anything. It's probably the most legitimate thing. And I know I'm getting sidetracked here, but this is a little lesson for you guys out there. When you hear a lot of these people, let's say like Warren Buffett, and I'm just using him for an example, it would be that type of person, a really well-known investor or trader type, okay? And they talk shit about something, you do realize that those are not normal people. They are wolves. Everything is opposite with them. Okay. They want you to believe that something is bullshit when that's in fact what they use. Now, I'm not saying he uses pure technicals. That's not what I'm saying at all. He doesn't. Okay. But why is it that every major trend that gets tested bounces or rejects, depending if it's above or below? Algorithms. Institutions heavily rely on technicals, folks. Okay. So when I hear somebody out there like CoffeeZilla, it's like, I wish I could just get a hold of them to like teach him properly, because the problem that I have with that, and I know I'm really straying now, and I do apologize. I'll wrap this up real quick. But the problem that I have with that is he has the ear of a lot of people. And a lot of people look to him as an authority figure. And this is where a lot of people in his position go down the wrong path. They think because they have views and subscribers that they become the world's most foremost authority on everything they speak about. And it's such an ego trap. It really is. And anyone that is real with themselves would notice that that's what they're doing. There's tons of times during the day where I'll just say, no, I have no idea. Like that's not my thing. You know, anyone that has any type of, their ego under control will catch themselves with that shit. And you got to watch listening to, I don't give a fuck who it is. And it's generally the ones with the highest subscriber rate, the highest view counts. It's the masses. The masses always flock to that sort of stuff. You got to watch that shit, guys. Remember, everyone wants to call themselves a fucking contrarian, but yet they follow the masses. If you're a contrarian, you think for your fucking self, period. End of story, full stop. Okay? So it's just a little warning. There's actually a lot to go over just in what I just said. There's a lot there, guys. And I hope you think about that, because, man, you listen to the wrong people out there. I've got a whole video where I'm talking about advice and who to get advice from. And it's amazing who people take advice from. Like people that do not have their shit together at all. It's very strange. And then they wonder why their lives are a spiraling hot mess of a mixture of cat, dog, and goat shit. Like, what is that? Like, and then they wonder why and what the fuck is going on with their life. Well, you're taking advice from fucking dummies. That's why. Stop it. Right? These people's lives are an absolute mess. So just remember that. Right? Okay. Back to the charts now. So back to the charts. I know that was like a long fucking winded little bit of a walk down a windy road, but that's okay. So right here where we have that cross section, that pinpoint time at 10:17 a.m., it came screaming down into that level with speed and distance. In fact, it even looked like it was going to hold here. As it was coming down, it looked like it was going to hold, and it's like, nope, 100%. It's going to go right into that level and bounce. Now, you're going to see from this level to here is not a lot. It's like 20, 25, 30 cents from lows to highs. It's not a lot. But I'll tell you what, it's lining those things up that you need to start listening to yourself. There are certain times where you're going to have trades that work and bounce off that. And then you're going to have trades that you're going to get a reaction there. There will be a reaction. It's not a big reaction, granted, but it was a reaction. And those are my entries on that. So I entered coming down into that level, paid myself right into the first level of natural. So did it not work, or did it reject the first level of natural? What I call first level of natural, which is the absolute first level of resistance on the way up. That's all it was. Like I remember as a trader that, I never understood at the beginning how traders like lined things up to where it's like, well, how did they know there would be a trade there? Right. Those initial questions that we all ask ourselves. Well, this is how you do it, right? Like when there is a cross section, we have two pieces of the puzzle, meaning two valid support levels. That's got a lot of support there, man. right? And it's going to come back and test that because it has to. I've talked about that a lot. There's certain things that they need to happen in order to prove strength or weakness. And then it's just information from there. And that's all this was. So 10 minutes prior, I knew exactly the time of day and where it was going to test. This is the type of stuff that I can teach you. Think of the edge there, where day in, day out, you know specific price points and times at which they're going to test. Now, I'm not saying every single trade is that type of specific time and price point. It isn't. But we do have our price points. Those price points are banging. If you take a look overall on the day at these levels, I mean, shit, man, you're telling me there's not opportunity there. There's not opportunity there. There's not opportunity there. And a million other fucking places. Look how it rode that trend all fucking day long. Look at the tests. There's tests there. That's all this is, man. It's absolutely beautiful. So if you know what you're looking at and you can learn from someone that can actually teach you how to do this, that has been doing this a very long time, it's not a bad idea to give it a shot, hey? So come to tricktrades.com. And if not, you want to continue on with the free shit, go right ahead, fill your boots. That's why I've got 1,000 free videos, but it's going to fucking take you forever to put the pieces together. That's the reality of it, guys. Everyone on YouTube is going to sell you that their fucking YouTube channel is going to make you into a badass trader. And that is not the case. There is a lot to this. You need a blueprint, a specific plan to get from point A to point Z, period. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm going to rock and roll. Adios.